Hello, guys. Greetings. It's Payman, your host, your coach today. Day 5 of the Podcast Day Challenge. I have another incredible expert guest, my good friend, Mischa Zvegintzov. He's a prolific podcaster, and he also is a podcast growth expert. And I'm super excited to have him back here again. So, brother, welcome back here. Thank you for taking time in your busy schedule between juggling multiple dinners and walks on the beach to be here with us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Hearing you say that now, I realize maybe I'm not that busy. Wait a minute.
Hey, enjoying life, that should be all of us as number one priority, That's busy.
Yes. All right. So you want me to just get after it or are we
Yeah.
ready to rock and roll here?
Wait, let me start my okay. Yeah, let me get my slides. Start the show and I will bring you on. One sec. Where's my day 5 is right here. Okay. I'm gonna share my screen. Make sure this is the right one. Do you guys see my screen? All right, cool. Okay, perfect. So many things here. All right, so welcome to day 5. Wait, no, that's day 2. What I'm doing? Sorry. Where's day 5? Oh, wrong one. Let me stop sharing and share the right one. Day 5. Yeah. Oops. Okay. All right, day 5. Okay. Hopefully this is day 5. Yeah, day 5. Okay. Oops. Minimize this and then present. Okay. Now we're good. So today's topic is Path to Leads on Demand. We have a very special guest, my dear friend Mischa Zvegintzov. Hope by now I'm saying your name correctly, brother.
Can't hear you.
Good. Also known as the podcast growth expert, and he's going to show you how to go on a podcast tour, getting on to 50 podcast in 90 days, something like that. And these are where your ideal clients, ideal audience hangs out. And today, after this talk, I'm going to be sharing with you how to where I'm going to talk about more where does your ideal listeners prospect client hang out the most, mapping out your first 10, 20, 100, and a billion first episodes and beyond, and putting it all together and get leads on demand to your own very own profitable podcast. So I'm excited. Agenda already done through that. So, before we start for day 5, any questions from anything we covered about day 4? While it's still fresh in your minds. Any question? As Phil would say, speak now, hold your peace forever. Did I get it correctly finally?
No.
What?
You're close.
All right.
You're close. Ask ChatGPT. It will tell you.
Come on. ChatGPT is very evil. It's not holy.
Speak now or forever hold your peace. See? So close.
Amen.
So close.
Just one word. Okay. All right. Thank you. So any questions, guys, about anything from day 4? Let me check the chat. Oh, yeah. Okay. Perfect. All right. Cool. No questions from day 4? Okay. In that case, let's give the floor to Mischa. Mischa, brother, the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. Hey, thank you so much for having me. Mischa Zvegintzov. Some people just say Mischa Z. Some people just say Mischa. Some people say Mish. People say Mishka. It's probably one of the simplest yet most confusing names out there, and I will answer to any of them. So there you go. I am the Chief Influence Officer of the Influence Army, where I teach people how to go on an influence tour, which all starts with guests speaking on podcasts. And basically, why we do this is so we can increase our authority, our impact, and our income, correct? Because we want to serve, but we also want to get paid to do it or enough to live. But anyway, I'm going to get all into all that in a minute. I do have a question for you. How would your business and your life change if you guest spoke on 50 podcasts in 100 days? And not just any podcasts, but podcasts with your perfect audience.
Completely
You know,
transformed.
yeah, absolutely. So today we're going to learn not only what to say and when to say it, but where to find these podcasts and how to get on these podcasts to literally change our business and our life. I'm going to do a quick share screen here. If it will let me, let's go share,
Yeah, you should be able.
share.
Yeah.
Let's see what we've got. There we go. All right. So I'm going to move this out the way. Welcome to my guest speaking framework, my 3-step system to become the go-to authority and expert in your niche without having to waste money on social media marketing or spend countless hours posting on social media again. Just in case you get tired of doing that. I know I get tired of I love guest speaking, of posting on social media yet again. I'm adjusting all the how I see people, and so that's distracting me. I finally got it figured out. But anyway, so who is this for? This is for heart-centered entrepreneurs who are moving from the heart. And somebody spoke to that. I think Jonny or perhaps Phil or somebody spoke to that. Money is not our main motivation. It's to serve. That's my main motivation. It is to serve. Now, some of us do need to make money, perhaps even quickly. And I'm not saying that making money is bad, but it is not the underlying core motivation. Because I do have bills to pay, I've got mouths to feed, I've got 2 boys in college, junior college here in America. Anyway, how'd I get here? So I had to clean up the recovery years. Excuse me. And for me, when I was in high school, I was 17 years old. Judge Rank said to me, I graduated to judge rank from Judge Horn. Judge Horn was like the probation judge. I was getting into all this trouble for drinking and doing drugs and things like that. And it was fun with Judge Horn because he just put me on probation. But I graduated to Judge Rank. And Judge Rank said, hey, man, you can go to jail for 6 months or you can go to treatment. And I was like, I choose treatment. My life literally unfolded in front of my eyes. And I saw the life of devastation that would come from drinking and drugging. Yeah, so my new mantra becomes, how can I be of service? What can I bring to the table? This is literally the lens that I look through everything. So in recovery, the 12-step modalities, they talk about, finding a higher power, getting a connection with the universe, the ocean, God, call it what you will, so we can start to, right? And then clean house, so start learning how to take more and more accountability. What's my part in things? And then the key thing, that final piece, is how can I be of service? Right? That's the ultimate ego reduction. And that's when I moved best. That's when I move best in this world, is when I'm trying to be of service. And then in this book, it's called The Big Book, on page 102, it says, we can literally, I'm going to paraphrase, we can literally go anywhere and do anything as long as our motives are pure, or not pure, are good, as long as our motives are in line. How's that? So it says, do not think of what you can, be sure that you are on solid spiritual ground before you start, and that your motive in going is thoroughly good. Do not think of what you will get out of the occasion. Think of what you can bring to it. And so I came up with this little prayer. How can I be of service? What can I bring to the table? Before I came on here, how can I be of service? What can I bring to the table? And again, for me, it's been straight line sober ever since. And so here I am in my youth. I'm in the top row, kind of the bowl haircut in the very back. There's me, nice and sweet and charming. And then there's me with my zigzag shirt in high school, all skinny and out of control. So fast forward, I get into sales, and then I've got my success, grow your family, upward trajectory years. And I started in sales, telemarketing. I just became a telemarketing machine. I was sending out flyers to get the phones to ring. I was doing door-to-door sales. This was in tech and in the mortgage business. And I built telemarketing teams, if I didn't already say that. But I was scripting everything. I would come up with scripts. I would come up with templates. I would create the systems and the process to get the phones to ring. And then what do you say and when do you say it? That's the key thing. And I funded $1.5 billion in loans and was having nothing but success. And that's a lot of home loans. That's where I had most of my success as a home loan officer here in California from 2001 to about 2015. And there's proof that I worked because people were like, you don't work. And I'm like, yes, I do work. So then fast forward, the death, divorce, career upheaval, failed relationship years. So for a while, I knew nothing but success. And then all of a sudden, my wife, Dawn, who were great friends, is about 13 years ago. She moved out. Our relationship had fallen apart and she moved out and it was brutal. I wouldn't wish divorce on anybody. And then both my parents died in rapid succession. Within 2 weeks of each other, they were divorced. But my world was just coming apart. And then more failed relationships. And then my career came undone. And that I had that crazy midlife crisis, that identity crisis. And there's me and my son Waylon. Somebody just happened to be walking by, and we had to sell our house and we're living in an apartment. And obviously, it was living by the beach, so it wasn't that bad. But we were just reflecting on life, and someone caught that picture. And what happened there was, I was in the middle of sales and I had this success and everything came undone. And I was questioning everything about my life. And I was literally praying to God, the universe, what have you, like, God, what's my next career here? Because everything in mortgages became hard overnight. Literally everything I was good at started causing me psychic pain. So I was like, God, what's my next career? What's my next career? Turned out I loved making my boys breakfast, getting them to soccer, doing all those things. The answer came from the universe. You got to quit and retire. Get your boys through school. And I was like, anything but that, because it crushed my identity, right? So whatever, pain got bad enough, I quit. Had resources in the bank, was lucky, quit my job, got my boys through high school, got them through school. And I always knew that I would have that inspiration to get back into sales, get back into the marketing, because I love sales and marketing, right? And so sure enough, as soon as they're graduating from high school and all that, I jump into online marketing, and I jump into Russell Brunson's 2CCX program. I just go deep right away. This is about 40 years ago by now. I'm like, I'm going to get back into business. I want to bring, everything I know from the old school into online marketing. And so I joined this $25,000 a year coaching program. And I'm full in it. I start the podcast. It's called the Table Rush Talk Show. That's where I've got about 1 million episodes, right, Payman? He likes
Oh
to
yeah.
tease me that I've got 1 million, maybe more episodes. No, actually, right now it's about 697 episodes. You can go to the Table
Damn.
Rush Talk Show.
Wow.
I know, I know. So I started this podcast right away. Russell Brunson was like, "You gotta have a platform to get your message out to the world. Either start your podcast, start your YouTube channel, start your blog." So I started a podcast, and I was flying around to all these masterminds, jumping on all these Zoom calls, going to marketing conventions, and just interviewing and talking to entrepreneur after entrepreneur after entrepreneur, and uh, and I realized quickly that entrepreneurs are horrible at telling their stories. Like most entrepreneurs are horrible at telling their stories. And number two, most entrepreneurs are even worse at telling their stories through their customers' eyes. We hear about that testimonials, social proof, stuff like that. So when I can tell you that, hey, you know, I'm good at what I do, just ask, here's my customer story. And so what happened was is I started getting customer video testimonials for companies. So so businesses started literally paying me to fly around to interview their customers to get their customer stories. And got flown to Ireland and across the United States. And I still had this wicked imposter syndrome, though. I was like, am I adding value here? I'm sure some of you on this Zoom call right now are like, what am I doing? Do I add value? Like, what am I doing? And I had that bad, and then two things happened. So it was like one day, the next day, two things happened that changed my life. Stacy, who's one of my customers who I was getting her customer testimonials for, she'd fly me to Aspen or fly me to, anyway, I'll tell you the story. So I wake up to an email from Stacy, and the email from Stacy says, "You're the one that actually adds value to my business. Of all the people that I pay, you're the one that drives revenue." And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, I drove like $70,000 in revenue or something like that. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm adding value. At exactly the same time, Ryan Lipsey, who has a show, it's called the Small Business Spotlight, and his audience is realtors, and he's got this massive audience of realtors. He kept telling me, like, you got to get on my podcast and teach my realtors how to get their customer video testimonials. And you got to teach them how to repurpose that content. Because at the time, and I'm still very good at it, at repurposing content, repurposing videos. And there's so many tools that do that. But anyway, I had finally relented and was like, fine, Ryan, I'll speak on your podcast. And so on his show, it was actually live. So I get on his show, and I'm teaching at the time what was called my perfect video testimonial system, my 5-step system for getting your customers to gladly do your selling for you. And I crush it. And I knew I crushed it. And I got all this crazy engagement. And I was like, oh my God, I've got a story to tell. And I can tell that story. I need to go on a podcast tour. And so what happened was I did this crazy post on Facebook. I was like, oh my God, I just spoke on this podcast. It was so great. I'm going to go on a podcast tour. I'm going to tell, everybody how to get their customer video testimonials. And I'm going to create the tracking sheets, the spreadsheets, the email pitches to get on the shows, the system on how to find the shows. Who would want that information? And I got this flood of engagement. It was like, I want it. I want it. I want it. And I was like, oh my God, I can teach people how to go on a podcast tour. And it's been a rocket ride ever since. Like literally, I know that I'm doing the exact right thing. I went from wondering, what the heck am I doing? Do I have to post on the social media again? To now I know, like every day, I'm doing the exact right steps to build my business, to build my influence, all those things. So, what is the true power of guest speaking? That it can change your business and your life. The true power of podcast guest speaking, that it can change your business and your life. Number one, the audience clicking on your CTA, your call to action. And this includes building your mail list, which you can market to, sell to, inspire. We can inspire our mailing list. And so that could be like, hey, go to guestingguide.com at the end of the podcast. Where can my customers find you? They can find me at guestingguide.com. They can download my free guide to executing a profitable and successful podcast tour. Number two, the host will sometimes direct recommend you to somebody. We can get lasers too, I think. There we go. Who's watching? This is exciting, right, everybody? I mean, this is so
Oh
great.
yes. Oh yes.
Yeah. The host will sometimes direct recommend you to somebody. You guest speak on a podcast, and that podcast host will go, hey, I know somebody needs to go on a podcast tour. So, some people put in the chat what they do. Just write in there what they do so I can have an idea what some people are doing so I can relate this to what they do. The third thing is the host will sometimes use your services themselves. So I've literally gone on a podcast, spoken about this exact thing, and the host afterward was like, I need to be in your program. Right? So the process of writing a book, Sophie put in chat. So Sophie, you start guest speaking on podcasts about how to write a book or the process of writing a book. Guarantee you a host is going to go, I've been dying to write a book. I need you to help me write that book. Or the host is going to go, oh my gosh, my friend, daughter, mother, son, the person in my group, they have been dying to write a book. Okay. Alan, I spoke on his podcast the other day, and not the other day, the other month. He joined my program. He literally just spoke on a podcast last week about he helps people invest in not residential income, commercial properties. He puts together syndicates. Spoke on a show. The host was like, I need to do that, and jumped in his program. Then we've got the collaboration opportunities. So Alan, I spoke on his podcast. He joined my group. I taught him what to do. He's guest speaking on podcasts. Hosts are joining what he does. It's beautiful. Collaboration opportunities. So we get to teach to people's groups. We like master classes. What we're doing right now, speak on challenges. I spoke on Payman's podcast. Someone introduced Payman and I. I spoke on Monica Cremendel's podcast. Monica introduced me to Payman. And Payman's like, man, I love what you do. I love your energy. You're awesome. Come teach to my people. I'm like, okay, right? And we get these networking opportunities. The other thing is we can do list shares, right? So it's super powerful. You can go, hey, Mr. Podcast host, would your audience be served by coming to Payman's, start your podcast? And there's so many people out there that want to serve their audience, and they need us to help serve them. Okay, number 5, we can repurpose the content. We can repurpose these interviews, these guest speaking opportunities, these that we do into reels, posts, shorts, TikToks, and then you get to be seen as an authority by your audience, and people will click through and opt into your stuff. I literally wake up to people with new leads. Branding speaks for itself. Like the more podcasts you speak on, you're literally elevating your authority, your leadership, your brand as you become known for speaking on podcasts. And then lastly, we've got the SEO. You're just building a lasting body of content. And when people search for these things, guest speaking on podcasts or monetizing a podcast or how do you start a podcast, Payman's going to come up. Mischa's going to come up. And the bonus 8th, you will be a different person when it is all said and done. You will have a transformation. You will have a confidence, a deep knowing that comes from serving at such a high level. Like I've spoken on so many podcasts and I'm just so much more confident. All right. Anyway, let's get to it. I've done enough talking and storytelling. My podcast guest speaking framework, my 3-step system to become the go-to authority and expert in your niche without having to waste money on social media marketing or spending countless hours posting on social media again, just in case anybody's tired of doing that. Some people love it. Me, drives me crazy. Okay. How do you, we're going to go through 3 things. How do you find unlimited podcasts with the perfect audiences? How do you easily guest speak on their shows so you speak to unlimited captive audiences without having to befriend them, follow them, follow them, stalk them, send them gifts, all these things? We're not going to have to do any of that. So we're going to figure out what's our email and what's the pitch, the guest speaking request. And then number 3, what do I say and when do I say it? So the audience will take action without me selling. Love how Payman talks about that. Payman's always talking about, hey, you're building a captive audience by bringing people onto your audience and you're talking about what you do and you're getting to, in effect, pre-qual the people that are speaking on your podcast. And it's a natural that they might want to buy your stuff or have you help them. right? I love that about Payman's methodology. It's so powerful. So let's dive into it. How do you find unlimited podcasts with the perfect audiences? My Find Your Perfect Podcast framework, my 5-step framework to easily find more podcasts to speak on than you know what to do with. I've said that a bunch of times. All right, the podcast guest speaking tracking template. Let's just look at this really quick. So, tools and links. So, number one, and I'm going to give everybody the link to this, and then if you want it, anybody who wants it, just say, I want it, I want it, I want it in there, because this is the most best spreadsheet that has all the tools you need to find podcasts. And I'll get you the link, and then whatever, you'll be able to follow these tools. So Google. So I'm going to look in, we've got Sophie, who helps people write a book. We've got help Facebook professionals find their why purpose. Who's Leslie? Leslie helps professionals find their why and purpose. Rosemary, just looking around. I'm working on a book about the concept of respect. I love it. So let's use help leaders. Phil, help leaders whose businesses are starting to fail to turn things around. Amazing. Let's use Phil as an example. So go to Google to find podcasts. Phil, my guess is people who are failing with their businesses are listening to small business podcasts. They're listening to coaching podcasts, like, motivational podcasts, things like that, because they're trying to figure out, how do we get out of this rut? Right. So you could literally go into Google and type, what can we type? Let's type small business podcasts. And then best business podcast 2023, best podcasts, business podcasts for women. It's great. You could search all other types of things. You could search, I don't know, success podcasts, right? My guess is people who are struggling with business are like, I need to figure out how to be successful. I am spelling this wrong, but I just want you to know that you can spell stuff wrong too. Anyway, the 20 best business podcasts, you can just search away. You could search Christian entrepreneur podcast. You could search mommy entrepreneur podcasts. You could search, single dad podcasts. You could search, that's just podcasts on businesses. Then you start going outside of the box, and you could start looking for accounting podcasts. I mean, if you think about it, we just need a small slice of the audience to be that perfect audience, to be our perfect audience, right? And what I like to ask people is, if that slice of the audience had 10 people who were your captive audience, only 10. If you could speak right now on a stage to 10 people who were your perfect customers, would that serve you?
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
of course, right? Of course we would want to do that. So let go of the idea of the size of the podcast. Just think about, does some slice of that podcast fit my niche, right? Or fit what I talk about? I'm just thinking about it. You could go on a manufacturing podcast, right? Because there's probably small business manufacturers who are struggling right now. So there's all these great podcasts to speak on. So what we do is we find a podcast. So let's go to the tools for a good life. Excuse me. Let's go to the Table Rush talk show. I'm going to use my podcast as an example here. So you find podcasts you want to speak on. So it's like, oh, great. Well, I found the podcast. Now I need to know the email. So what you have is, let me see if I have it here. Yeah. What's our email? So every podcast has an RSS feed, and this is techno babble. It doesn't matter that you know what an RSS feed is. All you need to know is that the RSS feed has the email of 90% of the podcasts in the world embedded in it. Okay. So we go to Podcast Addict, which is a podcast RSS feed finder. And I'm just going to put my podcast in there. And I speak to entrepreneurs. I'm talking about entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, heart-centered entrepreneurs. I'm talking about all that kind of stuff. Table Rush Talk Show. You see my podcast comes up. You can also use Podcast Addict to search. You could, for other podcasts, you could go marketing, and then marketing podcasts come up, right? All these different marketing podcasts come up. Oh, that reminds me as well. If you go into Apple Podcasts and you go literally open Apple Podcasts, let's open, and I can't share it right now. Yeah, let's do it. Bear with me here. I'm pivoting on you. Let me find my share screen. Stop share. I'm going to open Apple Podcasts because I want to show you guys this. Let me go back to share screen again. Thanks for your patience, everybody. Cayman can edit this out later.
No worries.
So
No worries.
search. Let's go coaching. Coaching podcasts. Bam. You see all these coaching podcasts, coaching conversations with Jim Knight. You could go, we could go, I'm just going to use coaching for leaders. There's one right there. So that's a way you can find podcasts. When you scroll down, it's going to give you, you might also like, you see that at the bottom, and there's a whole other bunch of podcasts you can speak on. Negotiate anything. That would probably be a great podcast for Phil to speak on. Look at No BS Leadership Executive Podcast. There's probably all kinds of people. The Anxious Achiever. Tons of podcasts right there. So that's another way to find podcasts. Awesome. Wanted to make sure I did that. Let's go back to Chrome 1. Share. Rate. Table Rush Talk Show. That's me. There I am. See where it says RSS feed in the bottom left? Everybody give me a thumbs up. Yep. Awesome. Click on RSS feed. Bam. It gives you a bunch of gobbledygook. And then you just look through it. Usually it reformats it a little bit so you can find the email easier. Ah, there we go. Come on. There we go. So then we just look through. This is the way. So let's see. My email is in here somewhere. I do this literally. I'm doing this every day, all day. And when the pressure's on and I'm on stage, I have a hard time finding the email. But it's usually right. It's right in there somewhere. Anybody see it?
Are you capable of using the find feature?
Yeah, maybe that might be a great idea. You could use the find. Oh, there it is. See right there, misha@belove.media. It's literally my email.
Yes, wow. Guys, you're
Yep.
taking notes. This is gold. Seriously.
So we're searching for the email of the person who has the podcast.
Correct. So you can email them a
Okay.
pitch. Yep. You got it. Anyway, so now you know how to find the email. There are other tools as well. There's Chartable is the same kind of thing. You can play with that. Where was another? Let me go back over here. Open this. Tools and links. Well, there's another tool. We'll save that for later. Okay, now we want to know, what are we going to send them? So here you go. My podcast guest speaking request email. Okay. When we send out emails to podcasts, we're going to get one of 4 responses. We're going to get a no. We're going to get a yes. We're going to get a yes and, or we're going to get no response at all. Okay. And so as all of you are going to be starting podcasts, or if you don't have it yet, you're joining Payment's thing and you're starting your podcast so you can learn how to start monetizing an audience quickly, even with a tiny audience. And so when I send out an email and I get a no, I'm not interested, I just reply back and I say, well, would you like to be a guest on my show? And almost
That's
everyone
genius.
says yes. Yeah. So here it is. Where is my no? Let me see if I got my no over here. The answer is no. I literally replied, I parrot right back to them what they told me. Thanks for the quick response, and noted you aren't booking guests anymore this year, and noted you're only interviewing women, whatever it is. I just literally reply right back. And then I put, great, I'm starting to interview guests for my show again. My audience is heart-centered entrepreneurs. Any interest in being interviewed? Most of them say yes. Okay. And so if they say yes to you, then if they say yes, you say fantastic and you do whatever they say. They say, like, book here, right? If they say yes and, which is usually fill out this form. What do you want to talk about? Give me more information. What's your bio? Then you just answer that question. Okay. If you get no response, because what happens is 1 out of 10 people will respond. 1 out of 10 people respond. For the 9 that don't respond, you literally reply back with exactly what you sent before. So I'll go, hey, just making sure you saw this, saw the below, and resend the email. And then you get a whole new round of responses. But anyway, what you really want to know is, what's the pitch? This pitch right here has gotten me on more podcasts than I know what to do with. This pitch right here, it is so simple. Everybody needs to screenshot this. It's not complex. You don't need to know what you're going to talk about when you send the email. All you literally need to do is find some podcasts you think might have a slice of your audience, find their email in the RSS feed, and then send them this pitch. The subject line is, you see this here? In the subject line, you're just going to put podcast guests. And then you're going to go, hey, Mischa, I found your Table Rush Chalk show, and you have a great show. Are you looking for interesting guests to be on the show? If so, what are the next steps? My friend Ron Story Jr. told me this. I was like, that's way too easy. And he's like, trust me, this guy has sent out millions and millions and millions of podcast guest speaking requests. And he's like, we all make it way harder than we need to. Start with that. Now, as you go along, you can start building your podcast pitch and you can make it more customizable. So I send out some super custom ones. But when all else fails, I revert back to this pitch. Does that make sense to everybody?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, good. So I got tons of people that I work with, like Don and Whitney, and who just keep it simple, find the podcast, send them out. They're getting booked on shows. Keep it simple, find the podcast, send the email. And you just, as people say, yes, what do you want to speak about? Then you say, hey, I want to talk about, helping people who have failing businesses or whatever it is. Okay. What do I say and when do I say it? I know I'm going on long here and it's time for dinner number 2. I've got my story bank, get your stories together worksheet. And this is my 3-part story collecting worksheet. So you can tell the right stories at the right time to capture your audience's attention and inspire them to buy. And I'm going to make this super quick for everybody. Basically, what you want to do is you want to have your story arcs. So those are the key story arcs of your life. For me, you heard them when I jumped on here. My recovery years, I look at my life lens through the magnifying glass of recovery. I've got my success years, then I've got my divorce, relationship failure years, and then I've got my rebirth into online marketing. Okay? Those are the arcs. And then within each arc, you put down your stories, your customer stories, and your impactful people stories. So what are your stories that are like, yeah, I got arrested and thrown in jail and judge rank, blah, 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 blah. My customer stories. Alan, I spoke on his podcast. He spoke on my and he joined my thing, and now he's having success. Your customer stories could also be anybody that you've influenced over the years, mom, sister, brother, um, anybody. It doesn't have to be this crazy story. Bosses, employees, anybody. And then your impactful people stories. So Russell Brunson, very influential in my life. That was an impactful person story. Mentor stories. Could be a homeless guy. You're walking down the street, you meet a homeless guy, he says something, it changes the course of your life. And judge rank, obviously, sends me to jail or treatment. That's an impactful people story. So that's what I do. You just inventory all those. It can be a word, it can be a sentence. You don't need to write down the whole story, but you just start documenting all your stories. And then when you go on a podcast, the stories start naturally coming up. So Rick, I put Rick right here. Rick is Rick Hayhurst. He started inventorying his stories. And he's like, I do so much better at networking events. I know what to say and when to say it. I do so much better when I speak on podcasts. He's got so much more confidence now. So I'd encourage everybody to start inventorying their stories. Anyway, I've got some favorite customer stories just to validate that this stuff works. Me being here speaking to you is proof of concept. Anybody, if you want my guesting guide, go to guestingguide.com and you can get my free guesting guide. Or I'll put the link for this in the show notes for that spreadsheet right here. And you can have it, but that's it. There you go. That's everything you need to know to go start guest speaking on podcasts. Do we have any questions?
Wow, powerful. Bring on the questions, guys. Guesting guide. Trying to go to your website. It says cannot find the server.
Which one was it?
Guestingguide.com.
Yeah, guesting guide. Let me copy and paste that and I'll drop it in there. Guestingguide.com. Tech these days.
Mishka, you're making it sound way too easy.
It's frighteningly easy.
What do you do for all those of us who have to make everything very complicated?
Uncomplicated things.
Hey, so listen, I have a new mantra, and this is my new mantra. The best is the enemy of more than good enough. The best is the enemy of more than good enough. We've been taught the what is it? Good is the enemy of the best. We just need to do good enough. Just start putting content out there, testing, trying, doing, test, try, do. It's just this mantra. Stu McLaren, who's another coach that I've loved, that helped me get my influence army off the ground. Don't listen to the gremlins in the head. Yes, the best is the enemy of good enough, Rosemary. Some of us might disagree, but
I love this quote.
yeah. Any other questions to the person that you know what I do a lot too? I'll give you one other thing. So for those of us who do make it hard, because I can make it very hard sometimes. I'm a big believer in prayer and mantra and things like that. So oftentimes if I start getting frustrated, I will say, you know, God, universe, whatever you believe in, hey God, how can I be of service? What can I bring to the table here? And who do you want my audience to be? A lot of us have troubles with our avatars, I believe. Like, who's that perfect audience? It's like, hey, who do you want me to serve? And then this is the other thing, play with it and have fun. So twice this has happened to me. Once I was flying to Funnel Hacking Live. This is about 3 years ago in Florida. And I was in the healing modality space. Initially, when I started in this online marketing, I thought I was going to do the healing modalities, you know, because I'd been through this massive turmoil in my life and cried it out and rebirthed as a new person. But in the back of my head, I was like, I love entrepreneurship. I love talking about entrepreneuring, right? And so I'm flying and I'm doing avatar work. Jim Edwards has this great program on how to like suss out your avatar. And so mine was like divorced dads or whatever it was, right? But my brain kept going, what about entrepreneurs? What about entrepreneurs? And so I literally had this inspirational thought of, what if I just play with entrepreneurs? What if I just play with writing copy for entrepreneurs or creating something for entrepreneurs? It doesn't mean I have to do it, but what if I just play with it? And so that changed the course of everything for me. And then the second time was um, when I started my influence army. So I was like, I got to start my membership and I've got to start legitimately monetizing my business because I was like, I'd spent so much money. You guys, I've spent over $150,000 in freaking coaching and masterminds and all this stuff. And I was like, I gotta start making some money and like consistent real money, like build a real business, you know? And I had two thoughts around it. One of them was like, well, I can keep leaning into the video testimonial thing, but I had no vision on how to scale that. And then at the same time, but I was like, I have so much time and effort into it. But then I had this whole podcast tour thing, this influence army thing. And so I had the same thought again. I thought, well, what if I just play with this influence army thing? What if I just play with the idea of helping people guest speak on podcasts just for fun? And that obviously here I am today speaking to you guys, teaching you how to do it. So I'd encourage everybody to try and get in that playful mindset. I'm just like, oh, just try it and play with it. What's the worst that can happen? Okay, I'm done. Next question.
Thank you.
Or we can go eat dinner. Or
Thank you,
Payman's got more
Mischa.
work to do. Yeah.
Awesome. Any questions for Mischa?
Pretty clear, Mishka, that you are very passionate about what you're doing, and certainly do appreciate this hour or so that we've been with you. You deserve your dinner tonight, whatever it happens to be, but thank you so much. Really do appreciate it.
Yeah. Cheers, Phil. Thank you. And thanks
Indeed.
everybody for the
Thank you,
positive
Mischa, for your
texts and
time. I
things
appreciate
along
that, brother. We'll be talking soon. Take care.
Bye.
Take care. Ciao. Wow. Let me see. Who's waiting to get in? Okay, Susan. So what do you guys think of Mischa's presentation? Put one if it was awesome, put two if it was amazing.
Mm.
Wow, Mischa, you're amazing. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm about
11.
to have
Love
dinner.
that.
See you guys.
Wow. See you.
The master number.
Yeah. Enjoy your dinner number 2 and enjoy your walk number 3. All right, guys. Cool, cool, cool. Let me check the chat. All right, we're not done yet. We still have content that I've created for you guys. Are you guys ready? If you guys want, you can take a 30-second break and come back. If not, we're ready to rock and roll. Put 1 if you need a break, put 2 if you need to rock and roll.
Lorenzo, I'm just wondering approximately how much longer?
20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes.
I can starve for another 20 minutes.
All right, cool. Oh, all right, cool. Awesome. Then let's rock and roll. Thank you, guys. Let me check. To rock and roll. You guys are troopers. Love that. Rosemary, Catana. Catana, do you even sleep and eat? You're always like online. That's why you're a champ, my friend. All right, let's go. Okay, let's resume. Okay, wait, where is it? Do you see my screen? Okay, let me go to present mode. Before I even present that, I'd love to get some of your feedback, some of your views, some of your testimonials about what do you guys think of the challenge so far? How do you like it? What do you like about it? I would love to get each of you guys' 30 seconds, 60 seconds view of the challenge. Let's start first from going from left to right. Phil, brother, what are your thoughts on the challenge so far? What did you like? What did you enjoy? And so on and so forth.
Yeah, Lorenzo, the first thing that comes to my mind is your humility in being willing to host this and bring three incredible speakers on. It hasn't all been about you. It's been much broader than that. Not that you don't have 5 days worth of material to share with us, because if you've got over 300 podcasts, you're going to have that kind of experience to share. But bringing on the other folks, and I mean, Jillian and Hannah, and now Mishka has just been fantastic. Thanks so much.
Very welcome. Very welcome. And what do you think of the people you met inside the challenge so far, the other attendees?
So
Did you
far,
make
so
any,
good.
did you make any contacts? Did you reach out to people? This is what I recommend people go and make connections. And last question for you, Phil. Would you recommend this challenge for other people in the next challenges? And if yes, why?
Okay, I wasn't aware you were asking me that last question, but I'd sure like to. And I guess the best way is just through Messenger to find out who's responding in there. Would I recommend it? Absolutely.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Quickly now, Mark. Would love your feedback, brother. What are your thoughts on the challenge so far? Give me your views and what did you like, what stood out for you, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, just get in and do it. Be confident. Tell your story. Just help with the framework and stuff. I know a lot of this, but just getting all your framework and all the tips from the experts. Tell your story. All that sort of stuff. Payment. Yes, thank you to all.
Very welcome. Would you recommend the challenge for people in the future?
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely send them.
Awesome. Thank you. Jonny, what are your thoughts on the
Sorry,
challenge?
the power was running out on the computer.
Oh,
Yep. What I've really enjoyed is the humanity here, the humility, the humbleness, and it's been real, with everything going on, power cuts and that. There's been some great people like Rosemary and some of the others who've reached out and made contact. But my big takeaway is yourself and the guests that you've had on have been really accessible and approachable, and that means a lot to me. And I just loved what Mischa was saying before about instead of it being all up in your head, because that does my head in, is really connecting with your intuitive, your spiritual self, and allowing that flow, because that's important to me. The dance between the mind or the form and the formless, and when they're both joined in, then my life tends to flow a lot more.
awesome. Thank you. Would you recommend the challenge to people in the future?
Oh, totally.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Let's see. Sandra, my dear friend. Sandra, are you there? All right, let's move to someone maybe. Okay. Kimberly, can you get on the camera for 30 seconds, please? I would love to get your feedback. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Oops, I didn't know I had the picture behind me.
No worries.
I have my whole house is sleeping, but that's okay. Yeah, I've really, I originally did this podcast challenge to tell my story, to learn how to tell my story, to get insight in how to do it, that I didn't tell too much and it was appropriate and stuff like that. But I feel like I've learned a lot more, and I've been given some ideas of how I might use it for more things. Like, one thing is I'm having some challenges with some things in, like, I'm I've like I'm older. I'm 53 of my grandchildren, and they all have some issues, and I'm navigating the government for different fundings and stuff. So I think that it would be very useful, sharing my journey for that. But I also have a personal story that I want to share with the world. And I'm hoping that, I can reach out to some of the people I've met through this to possibly go on their podcast and begin to start to tell my story that way. And hopefully be able to launch my own podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you. You're in the right place and you have a beautiful story. Even though I don't know about your story yet, but what you just shared. So yeah, podcasting is going to be the best way to do so. So I'm glad that you attended, that you've had your creative juices flowing, and now you know where to start, how to start, and just the world needs your gifts now to be shared. So I'm cheering for you. We can book a call for next week to further brainstorm together and help you further. So we'll definitely talk.
Yes.
So, thank you.
And I've already shared the podcast with other people.
Thank you.
And hopefully they've reached out to you.
I appreciate that. And what are your thoughts on the challenge? What did you enjoy? What stood out for you so far?
Hearing people's stories and just kind of meeting people in a relaxed environment where there's no pressure.
Love that.
And one of the main, just to share with you, one of the main reasons I'm not visible on the podcast is because I have usually 3 kids running around, and it just happens that they're all sleeping right now. So they're not running around right now. So it worked out well.
Thank
Because
you
where
for
I am, it's 8:00 at night when it
Yeah.
starts. So that's their
Oh,
bedtime.
yeah. Thank you for taking the time in your busy schedule. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome.
Yes, thank you for having
You're
me.
welcome. You're welcome. Ivy, can
Thanks.
you get on camera for a few seconds? Would love to see you and get your feedback. Ivy, are you there? We can move on I'll come back to you after. My dear friend, Susanne. Vroom, vroom.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, I'm finally on screen and not driving.
Yeah.
Hi. Yes. Well, payment as usual, incredible, and the quality of the guests shows you've got them all through podcasting, right? I mean,
Yes.
so the quality of the guest shows that it works, and so brilliant. It's awesome.
Thank you. Nowadays, I only do business with people I met and connected to my podcast.
Yep. That's what I'm talking about. And they're quality people, heart-centered people, just like you. It is just like everybody's been sharing about how it is. It's so refreshing to be with a group of people who are really heart-centered, and then it's obvious. The energy, you can feel the energy of it. It's incredible.
Awesome. Thank you. And would you recommend the challenge to other people in the future?
100%.
Thank you. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Boom, boom. Awesome. Catana, my dearest, dearest, dearest friend.
Hello, payment.
Hello. What are your thoughts on the challenge?
This is incredible. You have one-upped yourself. I had, having taken your class, your full class, and then to take this, I gained even more information, and I'm looking forward to applying this. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And your environment is always open arms, heart-centered, empowering. You've always been so empowering, and you bring people along, and there's no other words for that. It's just Beautiful.
Thank you, my friend. I absolutely love what you're doing. Love your energy, your passion. You're one of the first alumni, one of the alumni of my first class way back from what, December 2021, almost a
Yes.
lifetime ago. So always a
Yeah.
pleasure having you with us. So you're going to be implementing this for your podcast, what, your third podcast, your fourth podcast, something like that?
Yes. All of the above.
Holy smoke.
Yeah.
Yes, awesome. Would you recommend the challenge to other people in the future?
Absolutely. Always do.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. You're amazing. Cheering for you. Last but definitely not least, the one and only Rosemary.
Oh, Payman, you always make me smile. Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
doing this again. And I have to say that yes, definitely I would recommend, and I did recommend some people.
Yes.
Kimberly, and then Kimberly brought Ivy, but
Yes,
I will
thank you.
continue to recommend. But I have to also say that this is my second time around, and you still learn more, and the guests are phenomenal. And
Thank you.
there's always something to learn, even though you have the recordings.
Mhm.
But to witness it in person, you still gain more knowledge because there's something you missed the first time around or through the recording.
Thank
But
you.
yeah, no, it's very, very professional, very heart-centered, like everybody is saying, and highly recommend it.
Thank you.
So,
And also, I'm
Thank
very,
you.
very welcome. Very proud to say that you're also one of the recent alumni of the January, February class. So that's even more valuable for me, more special because you went through the actual program. And yeah, so I'm amazed. I'm really delighted that you learned even more to this free challenge. So
Yeah,
always
and I should add, I highly recommend going through the academy because there's so much more to even learn of doing this. Not only do you learn, but you also build your confidence. Like even the second time round, I feel so much more confident in building and getting my podcast done, and confident in the other things that I'm doing with my business. So highly recommend the academy for sure.
I appreciate it, my friend. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's see. Sandra, are you there? Okay, let's come back to Sandra after. Let's proceed to my teaching for tonight. So thank you for sticking out. I know it's a bit late for some of you guys in the US, especially on the East Coast, but let's get going. How do I put it into presentation mode? Okay. All right, so now let's take a look at, we are here to get leads, to make money, put all of these together. So let's take a look at this. Now let's take a look at where does your ideal audience hang out the most. So for that, again, go back to what we've been covering, especially all this week, especially on Wednesday and Thursday, about clarity. What's your ideal client, prospect, and listener? Where do they hang out? What is the number one pain point that you solve for them? And once you have that, then you will have a very good idea as to where they're hanging out. Is it going to be on Facebook or LinkedIn? For me, so far, 90% of my clients, my audience have been on Facebook, especially Facebook groups. Don't sleep on Facebook groups. Facebook groups can be a gold mine. Now I'm also transitioning into LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a next level. So yes, start with one and then go to the next one. Again, it's incredibly important for you guys to understand this principle. The number one pain point, solve your podcast, your offer, your business has to focus on one specific pain point for one specific person. Don't try to solve all of the issues for everybody because your message is going to be diluted. You're not going to be able to really connect heart to heart with the exact person. And of course, once you have that number one pain point really honed in, you have your avatar very specific, then your irresistible offer will become almost self-evident because you know exactly this is how you do it, not the other way around. Now let's map your first few episodes, foundational 10, 15 episodes. So what I recommend you guys, as well as this is also what I teach inside my academy, this is a sneak peek. Before you publish and go live and start inviting, reaching out to people to get on your podcast, I highly, highly recommend you have at least 10 to 20 episodes recorded first. There's a few reasons for that. First of all, it's going to be basically your on-the-job training. You will learn how to find those people, invite them, reach out to them, invite them, schedule them, record, edit, upload, spread it around. It's literally your on-the-job training. And also, it's going to allow you to build your portfolio, because once you start reaching out to people you don't know, people that are your ideal client, prospect, listeners, it's human nature. The first thing they will do, they want to check you out to see, let me check this person. If they see you have less than 5, 10 episodes, not interested. But if you see you have 10, 20, 50, 30 episodes, oh yes, because nothing attracts success like success. So this is why it's incredibly important for you to have, before you publish, before you reach out to your ideal clients or prospects or listeners, that you have at least what I call a foundational 10 to 15, 20, the more the merrier. If you do, that process takes you about 30 days. So if you do it, and the easiest way to start with is just reach out to people you already know. If you already have a business, reach out to your existing clients. Say, hey, Mark, hey, John, hey, Mary, it was awesome working with you. I'm excited. I'm launching my podcast. I love working with you, and I would love for you to be one of my first guests on my podcast, as opposed to you trying to chase after them. Say, hey, could you please do me a favor and send me a quick testimonial? Remember what I said a few times over the past few days? The golden rule: never put yourself in a position to ask, beg, or chase. Instead, invite. When you put that, you turn the table. You become the one being chased, as opposed to you chasing people. So again, start with interviewing people you already know, people that you've already done business. Ideally, if you don't have an existing business yet, reach out to people you know, even the people you met through this challenge. Connect with each other, invite each other on each other's podcast. That's going to allow you to build your foundational 10, 15, 20 episodes. Again, that's incredibly important, because that's going to be your on-the-job training, as well as build your portfolio. That's going to, when you go out to invite those people, you will have some content under your belt, and people will take it much more seriously. So that's very important for you to have. And also it's going to give you credibility and social proof. Mapping out your first episodes to the moon, from the first 5, 10, 20 to 100 to 1,000, they all follow the same principle. And that is, once you've established and built your foundational 10, 20 episode, then you can start reaching out to your ideal and inviting ideal listeners, prospects, and ultimately your client to be showcased on your podcast and on your YouTube channel. As I mentioned to you earlier, we simply, once we have identified who they are, what is a pain point we're addressing and solving for them, we simply reach out to them and invite them. You invite your prospects to be interviewed on your podcast. For example, Phil, hi Phil, my name is Payman. I'm the host of the Leaders One podcast. I love what you're doing, and I would love for you to come share your story on my podcast. Or Sandra, hi Sandra, my name is Payman. I'm the host, whatever your name is, I'm the host of your podcast name. I love what you're doing, and I would love for you to come share your story on my podcast. That simple approach has allowed me to get almost 100% yes. Only 2 people said no. One was because she was just about to give birth. We rescheduled after, and the second one, they were about to move from the US to Germany, but we still did it a couple of weeks after. So again, this is the best way to really open the doors, and this is the way for you to map out and build all of your episodes, as long as you're interviewing people. And even if you're bringing people to do an expert talk, just like, for example, it's exactly how I got to know Jillian, Mischa, Hannah, and even Jay, my coach. Exactly the same process. You invite them first on your podcast. Remember what I've been telling you from the beginning? The podcast is what allows you to get your foot in the door, to build that trust, that rapport, that confidence with your exact ideal people. It allows you to get access to people you normally wouldn't be able to get access to. And through your podcast, on the calls, you don't sell, you don't pitch. You have an heart-to-heart conversation. You get to connect with people. And once you bring in the right people and you connect with them, they will ask you, guaranteed, during, before, or after the call, hey, what about you, Jonny? What about you, Mark? What about you, Phil? What about you, Sandra? What about you, Leslie? And so on and so forth. And then once you tell them, hey, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Can you help me? Sure, let's set up a time to talk. This is the organic, natural way for you not only to get leads on demand, but also clients, because that's what we want here. We want to make as much money as possible organically without being sleazy and salesy. Does that make sense, guys? All right. Next, I already mentioned that this is very, very important. That applies not just to business, but to everything in life. Never put yourself in a position to ask, beg, or chase someone. Instead, invite them. Simple as that. So what we've covered so far, let me just check quickly. Anytime any question, please message me. Okay, Kimberly. Okay, awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. So just a recap, so far, day one, how podcasting totally changed my life. Day two, benefit of podcasting for both you and personally in your business. Day three, brainstorming to identify your zone of genius, your avatar, finding your gifts, and how to launch your podcast in 3 weeks. Day four, crafting irresistible Godfather offer. Day five, which is how to monetize your podcast if you have no audience to start with, and how to grow your podcast by going on podcasting tours, just like Mischa explained. And yesterday we had amazing Anna, and the day before Jillian on sales from a lady who closed $30 million in the last few years. So true world-class experts and all that. Jonny, yes, brother.
Sorry, just a quick one. I know that some of my videos sit on YouTube, but where do you put your podcasts? You know, is there a platform or is there?
Great question. My podcast has been primarily so far on YouTube. If you go on YouTube, you search for Leaders with a Heart. That's where my podcasts have been posted so far. I'm also slowly starting to put them on the audio for Apple. On Apple, I have currently only about 62 episodes. So I need to catch up, and soon I will put them also on Spotify and all the other major audio platforms as well.
So you're putting them on, say, YouTube, and then you're promoting them through Facebook with the link to the. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Exactly. And then also
and with Mischa, sorry, with Mischa before, he actually had a station or something. Is that something different?
No, it was basically as his podcast is mostly audio. So he had the host, and I covered the hosting yesterday or the day before. And the host is basically where your podcast is going to be, the home of your podcast, the audio podcast online. So you just like, for example, on your phone, you have a podcast app. You can find all the audio podcasts that you can listen to. You can have on Apple, iTunes, on Spotify, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and so on and so forth. Those are audio platforms, and you can access all of those to your hosting platform. Once you select a hosting platform, you upload your audio from your computer to your hosting dashboard, and from there you can spread them across all of those platforms. That's something that it's beyond the scope of this. Time doesn't allow us to go over that. That's something I cover much more in detail inside my academy in week 2, which is all about tech aspects. So yes, but for me, it's primarily on video on YouTube, and now slowly onto audio as well.
Thank you.
Welcome. So okay. All right. So as you guys seen so far, how is having your own podcast going to change both your life and business? Again, as I've said earlier, it's going to skyrocket your visibility, build and boost your authority, get leads on demand, just like I've been showing you, grow your, and because the purpose of it is to grow your business, increase your revenue so you can build, have a bigger impact out there. And also the most important thing, at least for me, and I'm pretty sure for most of you as well, because you're all awakened souls, it's going to allow you to find your voice, your purpose, your destiny, and amplify your impact. And all of that are going to elevate you to being seen as the authority, the expert, the leader, not only just the expert, but their expert, the expert, of your ideal audience, of your prospect. You want to become their go-to guy or go-to girl for these people. And that's what podcasting allows you to do in your field, in your niche, in your industry. Now, so who is this for, and who will benefit the most from having your own profitable podcast? So as long as you have a high ticket offer, or you're an author, coach, speaker, or a professional, or you're looking to build a business where you're going to be having a deep transformational impact on your audiences and your prospects' lives, and you're going to charge at least $1,000, that podcasting is going to tremendously benefit you. If you're looking for skyrocket your visibility, because again, and by visibility, I don't mean to get crazy numbers like million views. Sure, that can happen over time. But in terms of visibility in your exact ideal audience, in the eyes of the people that really need you, that you can really impact. And of course, you're going to be able to, it's going to allow you to build your authority and be seen, as I mentioned earlier, as the expert, the authority, the leader in your field and your authority and your industry and niche. And the whole promise of this challenge was for you to get leads on demand to your podcast, even if you have no audience. By now, I'm sure you've seen how you can achieve that yourselves. You have a clear idea, you have a clear map. Now it's just a matter of for you to implement that. So, and you're going to be able to do that to your own podcast and YouTube channel. So if you're struggling to get warm, quality, and responsive leads for your business, that's going to tremendously help you. If you're tired of not being able to get seen and getting any visibility in a crowded red ocean, if you're wondering where I'm going to get my next client, my next leads, podcasting is what's going to allow you, because once you have your podcast, your profitable podcast launch, you can get leads on demand. I'm in a position, I'm blessed, even not just now, even when I started implementing this approach, I got 6 high-ticket clients the first weekend, and then 60 in 10 months, and now closing in on 100 high-ticket clients and over 18 months. So again, it's not about the numbers, it's about you sharing your story, talking from the heart, and having clarity as to what is it, the number one pain point you're solving for who, and where is that person hanging out, and simply reaching out to them and inviting them. That's the system. That's the process summarized at a very high level. There's so much more that I go into detail, but that's a high level. And you're going to be allowed. So you're going to be able to do that because you're going to be able to connect heart to heart with exact ideal audience. Again, business, it's not a numbers game. Sure, numbers matter, but ultimately it's a relationship nurturing process. We do business with people we like, trust, and relate. And by doing so, you're going to be able to organically connect with them in a way that makes sense without being sleazy or salesy, without chasing and all that. And that's going to allow you to amplify your impact and share your gifts and find your voice. All of that, by now you've seen it. I've mentioned that quite a few times. And do you guys see how this can really help you and your business grow your business, get more leads, and ultimately make more money to your businesses? Let me hear you guys. Awesome. So we all want to make money, and the math is very simple. If you do 1 podcast episode a week with your exact ideal audience, you should be able to get 1 paying client a month through your podcast. Now, if you go all in and you do 1 podcast episode a day, Monday to Friday, then you should be able to get 1 paying client a week. And then eventually, as you get better and better, 2 or 3 a week. Now, how getting just one new paying client a month, forget about 1 a week, 1 a month is going to help change your business and change your life. Would love to help you get your feedback on that. So how just getting 1 client per month, how is that going to change your business and your life? Jonny.
Yeah, no, that would be really good, because at the moment I have no clients.
Okay. How about you, Mark?
So I just lost for a second there of getting messaged hard out.
No worries.
But yeah, my team are trying to do the YouTube monetization packages at the moment with several clients.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So yeah, but I was safe to message.
Awesome. Cool. How about you, Phil? Getting 1 client for your high-ticket business, just being conservative, 1 a month.
Absolutely, because that begins to multiply. It's the snowball getting started at the top of the hill. Not that you know anything about that where you live these days. But it's
we do have a hill. Yeah.
I'm sure you have hills. But try making a snowball go down that hill.
Oh yeah. No.
Yeah, I mean it's the first one from a process is always the hardest one.
Mm-hmm.
But then the big mo kicks in and it can go from there.
Absolutely. Now, do you guys currently have an offer of at least $1,000? Jonny, do you have one?
Yes, I do.
Right. How much is the offer?
Oh, I'm bouncing between 1,250 up to 1,950.
All right. All right. So awesome. What about you, Mark? Do you have a high ticket offer of $1,000 currently?
I haven't released prices and things like that, but yes, I do have. I have them on my websites and stuff like that, right? I have several companies and my charities that all have prices and stuff. Yeah. So depends what I target, right? But
Yeah.
I have some very high ticket ones coming out as well.
Awesome. What about you, Phil?
90-day program for $39.95.
Okay, awesome. Beautiful. Let's see. Catana, do you have a high ticket offer currently?
I do. It is $29.99 for 90 days.
Awesome. Rosemary.
I am in the process of developing mine, so it will be, I would say the next month I'll have everything going.
All right.
Maybe even my podcast.
Beautiful. Suzanne.
No, sir, I do not yet.
All right, we'll change that. We need to change that. Boom, boom. Awesome. Sandra, are you there? Did you fall asleep? All right, no worries. So again, math is very simple. As long as let's say your offer is $2,000, one paying client a month to your podcast organically for free, that's an extra $48,000 a year. Now imagine getting one client a week. That's an extra $104,000 a year. How is that going to change your business and your life? Tremendously. All right, now. So we already shared your offer. That's beautiful. Awesome. Okay. So if you were able to get your own, able to be in a position to get leads on demand to your own very profitable podcast and YouTube channel, that's going to literally, you put everything we talked about today, yesterday, the day before, and all week long. That's going to really take your business to the next level, or even give you a business if you don't have a business currently. It's going to start you getting money to allow you to, first of all, to breathe yourself and then bless others, just like it's been able to do for me and for all of you. Now, I have a special offer for all of you guys here. I understand Catana, Rosemary, and who else? Anyone else here that's already a current alumni? For you guys, you're member for life. So let's see. Yeah, so anyway, so my offer is to work with me to implement all of what we learned this week, working not only with me one-on-one in a small group, but also inviting other world-class experts. If you thought that Mischa, Jillian, and Hannah were amazing this week, I have many more of those, and even those guys coming in to go even deeper in what they covered for us inside the academy. So, and even my coach Jay, some of you may know him. Phil, you know him. He's amazing. He came for the first challenge I hosted back in January. He blew us out of the water. He was supposed to talk for 20 minutes. He was there for 2 hours, and people didn't want to leave. So so now, as I said, you have two options. You can either say, oh, this is cool, but I don't have the time, or it's not for me, and do nothing and stay where you are, keep struggling with leads, keep struggling with not knowing where to go, struggling financially, all that, being unseen, playing small, not getting your gift shared with the world. Or you can say, okay, and do something and ask yourself a powerful question. Then that is, how can I get my exact ideal leads? How can I apply this to my life? How can I get my own podcast? And that is by launching your profitable podcast YouTube channel, where you will be inviting your ideal listeners, prospect, and eventually getting clients on demand to your podcast. So my invitation for you guys is to come and work with me, take the next step, and take your business and your life to the next level by saying yes to my next class of the Profitable Podcast Academy. 3 weeks. It's going to kick off on Monday, April 15th of 2024. And I have I would love for you guys to come book a one-on-one brainstorming call with me to further see how we can implement podcasting for you and for your business. And this is my Calendly. And I have a very special and exclusive offer for you guys to come join my my academy for this class. Some of you have already taken the class. It's a 3-week, very hands-on, very engaging, small class. One live coaching a week on Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, and the rest of the week you get one daily video lessons of about 10 to 20 minutes each, and basically an hour a day for 3 weeks. And at the end of those 3 weeks, you have your podcast, profitable podcast launch. And once it's launched, within 30 days, you're going to be able to get leads on demand and client on demand. So basically, within 6 to 7 weeks, you'll be able to get leads on demand and get clients on demand to your podcast. My academy on my website. I have a special offer. As I said, I will show you here. Let me stop sharing this. If you go on my website, it's $3,000, but I have a special offer. Wait, let me show my screen here. Where's my screen? Okay, here. So on my website, if you go on my website, it's called leaderswithavoice.com. It's $3,000 and people are buying it. I have clients for that. But for the attendees of this challenge, as my way to say thank you for your time, for your trust, I will make you an offer that I haven't done for anyone else. And I will give you a $1,000 scholarship, and your investment is only $2,000. And that offer is valid until Sunday night, this Sunday, midnight Pacific time. I'd be happy to get on a call with you to answer any questions you may have and brainstorm with you to further show you how you can get leads on demand to your profitable podcast and then grow your business. So that's my offer for you, as my way to say thank you and to invite you. So any questions? Who's ready to say yes and rock and roll, and let's get going? Susanne, I want to get on a call with you later or tomorrow or whatever. I have, and also to get you back on the podcast.
We may be able to do that. I signed up for next Tuesday, I believe.
Yes,
Tuesday.
yes.
Yeah, but if you want
Yes.
to again, that's fine.
Whenever
Well,
that
it'll have
works
to
for you, my friend.
be for me. Okay, I'll go
Yeah.
look. You know what? Since I'm driving when
Yes.
I notice when I come home and I open it up, I don't have access to the chat, so I don't have any chats or anything.
No
So
worries.
share your Calendly again.
Yes, absolutely.
My email.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to get on the calls with you guys, even though I don't take calls on weekends. I'd be happy to get on calls with you guys anytime after 8 p.m. Eastern. That's 7 o'clock in the morning here for me.
On Sunday. Yeah, my Sunday, your Monday. How's that?
Yes, perfect.
Right.
If you don't see Sunday on my Calendly, Monday you see it, yes, because it's Monday you see it. If not, just send me a message on Messenger and we'll manually arrange it just the old school way. Just tell me the time, the place, and I'll show up. Not
Very
at 2
good.
o'clock in the morning.
Thank you. Okay, bye.
Awesome.
Ciao.
Ciao, Bella. Ciao, Bella. All right. Any questions, anyone? Any questions? Who's ready to rock and roll and get going? Jonny, any question? Mark? Let me see. Okay, let me stop the...
No, it's all very clear. Thank you, Payman. And
let's get on a
as I
call
just-
to brainstorm
Yeah.
this week or next week. Jonny, Mark, Susanne, Sandra. I think Sandra fell asleep and forgot to turn off her camera or whatever, but it's okay. I'll reach out to her. Yeah, I'd be happy to get on a call with you to brainstorm and show you how you guys can implement that. And also to have you on my podcast, both of you guys, Mark and Jonny, we're long due for a podcast. And yeah.
Sounds great. Thank you very much, Payman.
Take
Looking
care.
forward to
Appreciate for your
Thanks very
time.
much. Appreciate it.
Take care. You're welcome. Cheers, guys.